Namaskar and welcome to the Gita Satsang for today. So let us start with the Prarthana. By the Guru's grace and the will of Sri Krishna, we have all assembled for this Gita Satsang. May we have their guidance to be able to learn and adopt the things which will help us to grow spiritually. Let us chant the prayers. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranata Klesha Nashaya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindaya Tapatra Netra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Jnanamaya Pradipaha Ramanujadaya Patram Jnana Vairagya Bhushanam Srimad Venkatanatharyam Vande Vedanta Deshikam Yo Nityamachyuta Padambuja Yugma Rugma Vyamohatastaditarani Trinaya Mene Asmadguror Bhagavatosya Dayaika Sindhoho Ramanujasya Charanam Sharanam Prapadye. So, with prayers at the lotus feet of the Acharyas, let us continue with our study of the first chapter. So, today we are going to take up 3 shlokas which are closely related with similar meaning. So, shloka 41, 42 and 43. So, Arjuna is continuing to talk and express his sentiments about fighting with their cousins. Adharmabhivavat Krishna pradushyanti kulastriyah strishu dushtasu varshneya jayate varna sankaraha sankaro narakayaiva kulagnanam kulasya cha patanti pitaro yesham lupta pindodakakriyaha doshairai kulagnanam varna sankarakarakaihi उत्साद्यन्ते जाति धर्माः कुलधर्माश्च शाश्वताः. So in these 3 shlokas, Arjuna is further explaining that why it is important, what is the role of women in the family, and how if we kill all these people in the war, then when their women don't have any family binding with them, then they can be the cause, those women can be the cause for further adharma. So what he's telling is that as there is more and more adharma, then if the women of the family also become immoral and they don't follow what is the correct moral behavior, then because of that, if these women who are immoral indulge in unnecessary wrong relationships, then the progeny who are born, the children who are born, are out of some mixed varna. So if there is a Kshatriya woman and she has illicit relations with people of the other varnas, then the children who are born there will not have the values of either one of those varnas. And because of that, the further kind of degradation will take place. So all these children who are born out of such wrong or immoral or illicit kind of relationships, they will walk on the path of adharma, and because of that, the family life will be hellish. It will be like naraka, and not just for the family, but their behavior will ultimately result in destruction of all the values of the family. And when so many such people are there in society, then naturally society also is going to get degraded further. Now, when such children are born out of varna sankara, out of mixing up in an immoral way of the varnas, then those children will not perform the sacrificial offerings. Sacrificial offerings means whatever has to be done for the sake of the ancestors. So when that is not done properly, then those ancestors, because they are not getting the tarpana or the shraddha karmas, then those ancestors' souls also will not go to the further state that they are supposed to go. So they will also suffer. So, like this, Arjuna is explaining the chain or the cycle of events of what all will happen when the women in the family do not follow the moral path of life. So, what are the things that we need to understand in these shlokas, right? So, the most important thing which is being mentioned here is that the status of women is important. Now we are seeing in these shlokas, so much is being told about how if the woman goes on the wrong path, then the entire family and entire society will suffer. So we need to understand here that there is so much importance which is attached to the behavior of the woman, to the status what the woman has. And in fact, it is told that if you want to find out whether a society is in a good condition or not, then you need to observe what is the status of the women in that society. So why this is given so much importance? We must have also heard that in the Manusmriti it is told, Yatra Naryastu Pujyante Ramante Tatra Devataha. So the place where women are worshipped or women are treated with a lot of respect, then in that place the deities, the gods are all also very happy. So why it is told all these things? Because just as we have also observed in any family, right? Perhaps we think that it is the male member, it is the man who is the head of the family, and he is the one who is controlling everything. But in reality, the person who is executing all the actions, most of the actions, especially the actions related to the upbringing of the child or the maintenance of good values in the family, ultimately, all those come from the woman in that family only. If the woman in the family follows the right path, then the family life is happy. Whereas if the woman fails to follow whatever is told in dharma and starts involving in adharmic activities, then that family ultimately suffers. So there is so much importance which is there for the role of the woman in the family. In fact, even in the Ramayana, there is an example which is quoted that we know how at the time when already Sita had been kidnapped by Ravana, and then Rama and Lakshmana are wandering out about in search of somebody to help them, and they are guided to go and seek the friendship of Sugriva. So then they meet Sugriva. They decide that okay, Rama is going to help Sugriva recover the kingdom, and Sugriva will help Rama to find Sita. So at the end of that, what you say, agreement between them, then Sugriva tells Rama about Vali, and now it is Rama's turn to help Sugriva by getting, fighting against Vali, or because Vali has been following the wrong path. So then it is time for that fight between Rama and Vali. And at the end of that fight, um, Rama destroys Vali, he kills Vali. But before Vali dies, he is trying to, put forth his point of view that it was wrong from Rama's side to kill him by hiding behind a tree, or to not fight directly but to fight on behalf of Sugriva, and so on. Those finer points of whether Vali was right or why Vali was wrong, rather, we that is beyond the scope of our satsang today. So we will not be talking about that today. Whenever the opportunity is there at some other point of time, we will discuss that. But for today, what we are seeing here is in that context, after Vali has fallen down and he is about to, let go of his life. At that point, he makes a statement that, "Oh Rama, you are said to be the very epitome of dharma, and how did you behave like this? How did you agree to stand behind a tree and to stand hidden from my eyes and shoot me, and this behavior is not right for you. So why did you do that? At that point, he makes a point and says, I think it is because Sita is not with you. If Sita had been with you, she would have regulated your actions. And because you have parted from Sita, you don't even have the sense of what you are doing. And in that grief, you have committed an action like this. So, even in that context, if we see, Vali and Rama's conversation is about something else. But what is the point that Vali is trying to make? That the woman in the family has a role to play in regulating or in guiding the actions of the man. Right? So that is what we are trying to see here. Now, when we say there is so much that Arjuna is telling about varna. So, what is this varna? Varna refers to the particular uh, category to which an individual belongs. So, we know that there are four varnas. There is Brahmana varna, there is Kshatriya varna, there is Vaishya varna, and there is Shudra varna. So, when these names are given, then that varna refers to a particular class or a category. Now, in that, there is there are many people who talk of jati or caste, and these same names are there for the caste. But what happens is people misunderstand and they think in terms of discrimination, that Shudra is somebody who is low, Brahmana is somebody who is high, or Kshatriya is higher than Vaishya. Like that, there are people who misunderstand and misinterpret the meaning of this system. Now, let us take the example of our hand. Now, we have 5 fingers in our hand. Now, every finger has a particular role to perform. The thumb has its own value. The forefinger, the middle finger, the little finger, the ring finger, all these fingers are equally important for us to be able to do any action with our hand. If anytime you've got a cut or a wound on one hand, on one finger, and you're not able to use that, that is the time when you actually realize how much important that little finger also is for doing the work with your hand. So, does it mean that only the thumb is very important? If the thumb alone is there, can a person do anything with their hand? They cannot. Or if one finger is missing, will the person be able to do the job well? It will not. He will not. So, like this, all the fingers, they are different, but they have their own role to play. Similarly, let us take the example of, say, a game of football. Now, in a football game, there is one person who is the goalkeeper. There are some players who are in the front. There are some players who are at the back. There are some players who go on the offensive and try to take the ball to the other camp and hit a goal. There are some people who stay back towards their side, and their job is to defend their side to prevent the other side from scoring a goal. Now, do you think that there is more importance for the people who are in the front and less importance for the people who are at the back? Or that the goalkeeper is only important, the other people are not important? Or that the goalkeeper is not important, the other people are important? Do we think in those terms? No, because everybody in that game, everybody in that team has their own role to play. And only when they play their part efficiently, then that team is going to win, isn't it? Similarly, in a company, let us say there is an organization. You have somebody who is a sales manager. You have somebody who is a sales representative. You have somebody who is a middle level manager. You have somebody at the top who is the managing director. Now, do we say that the managing director is more important than the sales representative? We don't say like that, but we understand that gradations are given, a hierarchy is created, or different roles are identified. For what reason? So that they can all work together. Everybody performs their particular role in that organization. And when everybody is doing their job correctly, then that organization is going to achieve success, isn't it? Similarly, for our whole system of society, the arrangement of the samaja is done in such a way that people are given certain responsibilities, and it is their job to follow whatever is told for that particular varna. So there is no question here of discriminating between somebody. And in fact, when the Lord, later in the Bhagavad Gita, there will be a shloka where the Lord will explain that he has only created these varnas. How? On the basis of the guna of the person and the karma of that person, the qualities what a person has, and the kind of actions that they perform. On that basis, the varnas have been created. Now, unfortunately, what we have done in the present times is we have made that complex system of varna into a system of jati, and then there were what do you say, mischievous elements who have made use of that. Okay, the Lord created these four varnas. It was the role of the brahmana to study and to pass on that knowledge to everybody else in society. So his was the role of preparing the people in society to perform their different roles. What was the role of the Kshatriya? To protect everybody. He had to make sure that all the other varnas in Samaja are protected. What is the role of the Vaishya? He had to involve in commerce activity, in economic activity, in business, and earn money through rightful means, and use that money what has been earned for the well-being of everybody else in society. And what about those who belong to the Shudra Varna? They were the set of people who were going to be involved in the hard physical labor because they were blessed with great strength physically. So this was the kind of division of roles or dividing of activities, and everybody was supposed to work complementarily with each other. So it was more a question of differentiating the roles and making sure everybody worked together rather than discrimination. The Lord created these four varnas, but who is it that created all these jatis? And within this one particular varna, this jati, this sect, this subsect, and then this one saying that this one is more important than the others. Who created all this? It is us human beings, isn't it? There are so many people who tell us that, oh, in your Hinduism, you are having this kind of a discrimination. You have caste system. But isn't that same system, don't we know that that same system has been adopted by the people following other religions also? There also they have such kind of a differentiation. And in fact, our whole idea is that we must not go by this attitude of discrimination, but understand what is our role and do that. Now, in today's times, everybody is actually having activities to perform of all the varnas. When you clean your house and when you clean your body, you are performing the activity of a Shudra. When you are involving in some activity where you're going to earn money, you are being a Vaishya. When you are doing something to stand up against injustice or to make sure that people are following the correct path, then you are being a Kshatriya. And the time when you spend in studying something and in teaching other people about that, you are being a Brahmana. So this kind of an importance is there for the Varna system. And what here Arjuna is trying to tell is that if there is mixing up of the Varnas, then what is going to happen? People will no longer follow that one particular activity which is given for them. And the children who are born, when such Varna Sankara, when mixing up of the Varnas takes place, then those children will not have a clear path of what to follow, what not to follow. So such in this state of confusion, there is likelihood that those children will go on the wrong path. And then ultimately, entire social system is going to get affected. So that is why he's telling, the Arjuna is telling so much about all this. And he tells also, then we saw, isn't it, that he says that the progeny who are born out of such kind of Varna Sankara, they will not be following the path of Dharma. Then if they don't perform their actions correctly, and especially the actions related to offerings to the ancestral souls, whether it is the Shraddha Karma, it is doing Tarpana, it is Pinda Pradana, and such activities, such offerings which are to be made to the ancestral souls, then if they do not get those offerings which are due to them, that leads to a chain of events where there will be a lot of problems and obstacles which are created in these people's life. So how important it is to perform the Shraddha Karma in the proper way and exactly as prescribed. In the Shastras, it is told very clearly that what should be the method that we follow to perform the Shraddha Karma. So there is actually a story which is told about Bhishma and Shantanu. So um, we know that Shantanu was the father of Bhishma. In the Mahabharata, we have heard this story. Now, it is told that whenever we are offering um, tarpana, whenever we are offering some offering during the process of the Shraddha Karma, which is performed for the departed souls, for our family members who have died and gone on further. So for them, when we perform these karmas, then it is told that the offerings are given into the earth, the bhumi. So there was one time when Bhishma was doing this. And as he was doing these rites, his father Shantanu, he appeared there in physical form and said, "O Bhishma, I am here standing before you. You offer it into my hand." At that time, it is said, Bhishma tells Shantanu that, "Oh, father, I have a lot of respect for you, and I know that you have come here asking me for this offering, but Shastra says that I am not to give it, I am not supposed to give it into anybody who appears. I have to give it, offer it to the Bhumi only." And Bhishma refuses to hand over that offering to that form of Shantanu which had appeared, and instead he offers it into the Bhumi. And Shantanu is very happy with this action of Bhishma. He says, "I have come here to test you and see whether you are going to perform the vidhi as prescribed, or you are going to get swayed by emotion." So that is told, that story is told to tell us that it is very important to perform all the Shraddha karmas as it has been prescribed in the Shastra. And doing this is part. Now, it is not, now there will be different rites which are prescribed for different varnas. Like in the Brahmanas, there will be one definite method of performing the Shraddha Karma. In the Kshatriyas, in the Vaishyas, in the Shudras, in all the varnas, there are different methods which are prescribed. So everybody need not follow that which the Brahmana is following. It is not told that way. What has been told for that particular varna, according to that, they should follow the Shraddha Karmas. Similarly, any other dharma which is part of their kula, which is their Kuladharma, they should follow that in the appropriate way. So, in fact, it is told, I will tell one small story here. Like once when Rama and Sita, they were in Vanvas with Lakshmana, they were passing through the area called as Dandakaranya. So, in that Dandakaranya forest, there were many rishis there who were being tortured and troubled by the Rakshasas. So when they were when Rama and Sita were there, they had complained to Rama that we are being very much troubled by these Rakshasas. However, Rama had not yet been able to fight against the Rakshasas. So one day there is a conversation which happens between Rama and Sita, and as if to actually to remind Rama, Rama had made a vow. He had taken an oath. He had promised the rishis that he is going to definitely destroy the Rakshasas. Now Sita reminds Rama, she wants to remind Rama that you said you will kill the Rakshasas and protect the rishis, but you have not yet done anything about that. So she starts she starts talking to Rama as if like in fun. She says, "What is this, Rama? All the time you are holding the sword you are holding the bow and arrow in your hand. You just be careful, because if you just because you are having the bow and arrow in your hand, you may feel like killing somebody." This is what is the statement made by Sita. And to substantiate this, she tells one story. She says, "When I was a child, my father had told me a story about how the kind of thoughts we have, that determines our actions." So she says, "My father told me a story where there was one Kshatriya who had a sword, and the Kshatriya needed the sword because he has to fight against any wrongdoers. He has to make sure that nobody is doing wrong things in the kingdom, and so on. Now, once this Kshatriya was supposed to go on a yatra somewhere, he was supposed to travel to another place on a tirth yatra. So, because he was going for a pilgrimage, he didn't want to carry the sword with him. So, what he did was, there was a rishi who was staying near his house. He went to that rishi and he gave his sword to that rishi and said, "I am going on tirth yatra. Oh rishi, you please take care of my sword. Make sure that nobody robs it or it doesn't get destroyed. You please take care of my sword till I go and come back." So this Rishi told him, this Rishi was always involved in tapas and meditation. So he told him, see in that corner, you keep your sword and you can go. I will make sure that nothing happens to you. And that Kshatriya went away. Now this Rishi had told that man to keep that sword there. Now, as he sat in tapas, he started getting thoughts that what if somebody comes when my eyes are closed and they take away that sword? I will not come to know. So what he did was he brought that sword from that corner, he brought and kept it next to him. And he again started doing his meditation. Now, after some time, again he got the thought that what if I have my eyes closed and this thing, I can't make out if somebody touches that sword. And suppose when my eyes are closed, somebody comes and takes away, then what I will answer to that Kshatriya. So let me make sure that I can, at least become alert when somebody is coming to lift it. So he puts that sword on his lap and he sits. He continues his meditation. After some time, he thinks, okay, what if somebody comes and I'm so lost in meditation that I don't realize when they pick it up from my lap? Let me hold it in my hand. So he holds the sword in his hand and he sits and he starts doing meditation. But soon he finds that the minute he's holding that sword in his hand, his meditation is destroyed and he starts feeling the urge to go and hit somebody with that sword. Right. And in fact, he goes and tries to hurt some other people also. Now that he's got the sword in his hand, the desire to hit somebody with the sword or to stab somebody with the sword arises in the mind of that Rishi also. So Sita tells this story to Rama, and she says, see that Rishi, when there was no sword around him, he was happily doing his meditation. But now, just because he got the sword in his hand, he went and wanted to stab some people with it. So, are you like that, Rama? That you are holding this bow and arrow in your hand and you are simply going to go around killing people? She says. Now, her whole purpose in telling this to Rama is to remind him of the promise he had made to the rishis in Dandakaranya. But she doesn't say that directly. She tells the story and she narrates. At that point, Rama tells one very important, statement he makes. He tells her, "Oh Sita, I definitely am not holding this bow and arrow just for fun. It is not like a toy that I'm holding it. I have given my word to these rishis in Dandakaranya, and I will definitely never leave you, Sita. But if at all some situation comes, I may leave you, but I will never leave Lakshmana. But still, if some very bad situation comes, I may part from Lakshmana also. But I will never give up my word. I will never go away from the promise that I have made. So definitely I am going to take care of these rishis and I am going to protect them and I am going to kill the Rakshasas who come. And in fact, later Rama did prove his words true because after the Shurpanka episode, when that Khara and Dushana came there with so many Rakshasas, he did destroy all of them. And their destruction made sure that these sages of Dandakaranya were going to be protected. So, what is it that out of this story we have to understand? Rama gave so much importance to following his Kuladharma. What was his Kuladharma as Rama, the son of Dasharatha, the son of Aja, the son of all those kings who came in the Ikshvaku clan? His dharma he saw as being the duty to protect those who are in danger. So, to what extent Rama was willing to go to follow his Kuladharma? He said that I may give up Sita, I may give up Lakshmana, but I will never give up my word of protecting others and following what is my dharma. So, when the Lord Himself attaches so much importance to Kuladharma, what is the right way for us to make sure that we are pleasing the Lord? If we follow whatever is our Kuladharma, we will please the Lord. And if we do not follow what is prescribed in our Kula as Dharma, then we are going to definitely displease the Lord. Right? So these are some of the things that we need to think about. Now, in these shlokas, what is happening? Arjuna is talking about what is the importance of women, how they are the protectors of the Kuladharma, how if they go on the wrong path, then there will be trouble which is created in society, how the children who are born out of illicit relationships will not perform the Shraddha karmas, And if those ancestors don't get those offerings, then they will also not get further gati, right? All this Arjuna is telling. And from his conversation, what we need to understand that we have to follow is that what it is very important to follow Kuladharma. So we need to think about these aspects. Are we playing our part? It is true. Now, here we may think that, oh, why they are telling only women, women, women? As we already said, who is it who brings up the child? Although we are talking about how both the spouses must have equal role in bringing up the child, or they should share the duties and all those things, ultimately the fact remains that it is the mother who has a major role to play in inculcating values in the child. She is the one, even if she is going out to work, whatever it may be in today's times, still it is the mother who does most of the nurturing of the child. So whether it is physically providing food to the child, or giving food for thought to the child, or inculcating moral values in the child, it is the woman of the house who is going to play an important role there. And just the what we say, the status, the kind of attitude, the kind of mentality of the child will depend very greatly on what the mother has taught that child. So women definitely play the most important role in creating a society where there are good citizens, in creating a society where the citizens are following dharma. So, are women today playing their part in protecting Kuladharma? This is something we need to think about. Unfortunately, there is a sad state of affairs where anything that is told as being a family practice, or told that women have to do this, then immediately there is a reaction saying that this is gender bias, this is being sexist, this is a male chauvinistic attitude, women are no less. Definitely, yes, women are no less than men, but we can say that women are more important in their role in the upbringing of the family. If you want to have a family unit which is going to support us, a healthy society, when all families in society are in a good state, then the entire samaja will be in a good state. So for that, women have a very important role. But are they playing their part in protecting this Kuladharma? Let us forget about other women. Let us think from our own point of view. Am I doing all the things which are practices in my family? Am I following those things which are told in the Shastra, which are applicable to my family? Do we fulfill our responsibility that we have to our family? Are we making sure that we are bringing up children and grandchildren and whoever related extended family members? Are we doing that which is our role to make sure that society follows the path of dharma, right? Are we performing rituals for the departed souls, as has been explained by Shastra? All these are some of the thoughts that we need to have. We need to examine our own life and see if we are following all these things. Because already, as Arjuna had was, having the fear that what all will go wrong, we are already seeing that happening in society. There has been no yuddha to kill the male members in our society now. But still, because women are not following whatever is their role to do, there is so much danger that has already come into society. As we see more and more youngsters, we see that kind of rebelling, without a cause. They tend to get swayed by the ideas of whatever the Western thought process is. Everybody thinks that I am very important. I am not going to adjust at all. Then, when that happens, definitely our society is not headed in the right direction. If the women in a family don't do that which is their most important role of maintaining the values of the family, of maintaining the dharma of the family, then definitely that samaja is not going to be in a good state. The samaja will become the social status does not depend on whether women are getting equal opportunity in the workplace, whether women are being given so much reservation in the parliament. Those are all required, definitely, yes, but those are going to come at a later stage. But the most primary role as a person in the family, am I making sure that my family is abiding by dharma. That important role of women, are we following? Are we doing our bit for that? These are some of the things that we need to think about. So, why it is important for us to do this, whether it is doing the Shraddha Karma, whether it is following the path of Dharma, everything, ultimately it comes to the main point that whatever is told in the Shastra, that is what is the wish of the Lord. Whatever the Vedas are telling, whatever the Upanishads are telling, people may say, why should I follow that? Because it is okay for general people to say why I should be bothered about it. But if we are doing sadhana and we want to go further on the spiritual path and we want to get closer to God, then just as in worldly life, when we love somebody or we want somebody to love us back in return, then what we do, we try to do all that pleases that person, isn't it? And we will definitely not do that which makes that person unhappy or angry. So similarly, our aim in sadhana is to go closer towards the Lord. And when that is the case, we must do that which will please the Lord. And how do we know what it is that pleases the Lord? Whatever is told in the Shastra, that is the wish of the Lord. So, not following Shastra means we are displeasing the Lord. And when we displease the Lord, definitely we are not going to get moksha. So, we will get further thrown into the cycle of birth and death, and there is no hope of moksha for us. So, the best way to make sure that we go further and please the Lord is to follow whatever is told in the Shastra. Now, here we need to be careful and understand that there is a lot of difference between what is actually told in the Shastra and what is just some blind belief which has, come to be followed. So, understanding that we need to talk to people who are experienced in this field. We need to talk to family elders who really have the right picture about what is dharma, what is the shastra, what is told as a family practice, what is it that is genuine, and what is it that is simply out of superstition or out of fear that something bad will happen, people are doing. So like that, we need to have that discrimination and follow what is the right thing to be done. So today we have talked about a lot of different things, and we have covered these aspects. So although here the shloka is that all this is being narrated by Arjuna, that what all are the dangers that will happen when wrong actions are done by the women in the family, then that is Arjuna's ideas. He's expressing his thoughts and he's correct in that. How Krishna explains to him that why it is right to fight, we will come to later. But for now, as Arjuna is talking about these things, we need to also think about these things and see whether we are contributing to taking our family on the path of dharma, or we are going on the path of adharma. So out of these shlokas, these are some of the things that our acharyas have told us that we need to think about. So let us pray that we will be blessed with the discrimination to understand what is the right thing to be done. We will receive guidance about what we have to do, what is our role, and we will be able to do that in the proper way. So I'm very sorry, I have talked for a very long time today. So there is no time to take a question. Actually, Zarna ji had asked me one question which is very relevant. We will take it up in the next satsang. Now we are almost having less than a minute left. So we will offer Kritagnata for today and we will stop here. In the next session, we will take the further part, which will be the concluding part of the first chapter. And we will also take Zarna ji's question. So let us offer Kritagnata at the lotus feet of Sri Krishna and Guru for inspiring us to start and to join this satsang. And let us pray for their blessings and grace to always be on us. Namaskar. Thank you so much for joining. And we will meet again next Tuesday as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Ansuraji.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.